Thank you for tuning in to WMCM. Today we're going to be talking big news around the NFL, the college football playoffs, as well as college basketball. Stay tuned. Sports Talk Live is up next. Thank you for joining us on Sports Talk Live. My name is Nate Myhack, joined on my side by Mark Carstens, Jeremiah Waite, and Aaron Gallo. And we're going to start off today with the big news around the NFL and around Green Bay especially, considering we are in Packers land, of course. Mike McCarthy was fired as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers following their loss on Sunday. And for me personally, not that much of a surprise as when it comes to McCarthy being fired. What does surprise me is the timing of it, especially hours after the game. I understand he lost to the Cardinals, 2 wins.
Just get rid of them.
2 wins coming into the game. Obviously, they got their 3rd win against Green Bay, so I thought it was time for McCarthy to go. I was a little surprised at the timing of the decision. Just tell me, what are your guys' thoughts? What have you guys thought about the firing of Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, I was personally a little surprised just by the timing of it. I thought they'd wait until the end of the season. And I think Mike McCarthy, he deserves the respect of being able to stay for the rest of the year. I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. They won the Super Bowl in 2010, actually. So I mean, I just feel like he deserves the right to be able to finish off the rest of the season.
Going off of what you said too, Mark, I don't agree with the timing as well. I mean, hey, you win a Super Bowl as a coach. There had only been one coach previously fired that had won a Super Bowl in his tenure with the team in season. I mean, the Packers, the inability of Mike McCarthy to adapt to the changing times offensively and being stuck in his old style West Coast offense, it finally came through this season with Aaron Rodgers. And McCarthy failed, some could say, to maximize the talents of Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Now Rodgers is 35. Some could still say that he's in his prime and has a couple more years of that. But I believe that in order for the next coach to really hit on all of Aaron Rodgers and his abilities, they have to create sorts of throwing lanes that are able to be completed deep downfield, and
I agree.
The chunk gains that we see from the best offenses have to be easier for Rodgers to do.
I don't know. I think differently from you guys in the aspect that it was disrespectful. I think that if it was going to happen at the end of the season, might as well just do it right now, start fresh, maybe try and build on some confidence with your players that are still remaining and the coaches that are still remaining. So, I don't know. I thought it was good to just cut the cord. I thought that he should have been fired a couple years ago. So, the fact that it happened now, I'm happy that it just came.
Yeah, no, I was definitely on the boat a few years ago when the rumors started to swirl that McCarthy might be showing the door. I was like, well, keep him. He's done a great job. But over the course of the 11 games or whatever they've played this year, I've realized it's time for you to go. And it's not that he's a bad coach. I think he's actually a really great NFL head coach. It's just I think he overstayed his welcome.
He's going to get another shot. Exactly. He's going to be like Andy Reid. He's going to get another shot
somewhere.
The
Browns.
Yeah, the Browns have been talking about making moves to go get him. So the thing that doesn't really surprise me, I guess, too much was the time. Or the thing that did surprise me was the timing. But maybe it was just best to let him start looking for the next head coaching job for him. And speaking of next head coaching jobs, obviously Green Bay, they're now in the market for a new head coach. There's some rumors going around. There's a lot of names being tossed around. What are some guys that maybe you hope the Packers go out and get, or what are some names that you think they could actually go out and land?
Off the bat, I'm going to say Josh McDaniels. I think that'd be awesome if we could get him. With the Patriots for that whole time. I know that he had a little debacle with the Colts last year, but I saw an article that a lot of assistants around the NFL would be interested in McDaniels' head coaching position.
I saw that follow them,
So that's pretty interesting. I think McDaniels, with the brain trust he's had with Tom Brady, to see how that would play out with Rodgers would be awesome. So that's my number one right now.
Yeah. I also agree with you, Aaron. Josh McDaniels, his offense thrives on short completions and then gets big chunk plays with deep throws. McDaniels has kept Brady healthy by having these short passes, and I think even though Rodgers, his great plays result a lot of the times from him improvising, I think for the longevity purposes of Rodgers,
For sure.
they need someone to come in and hone him in a little bit and make him understand that it's okay if you dump the ball down, to your running backs or receivers 5 yards instead of holding onto the ball and trying to make big plays and everything. Like, big plays can happen with short passes, and this can all happen due to formations and schematic innovations that McDaniels can bring to the Packers.
When's the last time you saw a Packers player run a slant? I feel like we haven't had a slant run since Greg Jennings.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like it's been that long. So.
I mean, I'm not saying that McDaniels has to get rid of everything Rodgers does improvising, but if he can bring what he does with that and then include into that what he does with his schematic formations and motion and confusing defenses, it'd be perfect for Rodgers. I think it would help bring Rodgers back to his 40 touchdown passes a year. I mean, even this year he has 20 touchdowns and 1 interception, which is great, but for Rodgers, it's,
What do you think, Mark?
Josh McDaniels is certainly an interesting name. But a few names actually that I thought of. My number one candidate for the Packers is Lincoln Riley. Actually,
Really?
For me.
yeah.
I really like
Hot
him.
take.
He's a young coach, 35 years old. He's a former player, which I really like too. I feel like for example with the Brewers, with Craig Counsell, he's been really successful as being a young person who's a former player. Coming in as a coach.
Yeah. Do you think that Rodgers could get his respect right away though, or I mean, he could get Rodgers' respect right away, being almost the same age?
Look at
as
Sean
him?
McVay.
I know, but Jared Goff is much younger. He's like 10 years younger than him. Yeah. Rodgers has a little bit of a personality, I think, that will be tough to mend with a lot of coaches. That's why I think a young coach might be a mistake with him. I think you might have to go someone that old and trusted that can get his respect.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see in the next coming weeks, especially once rumors start swirling, which we've heard already in the last few days. Josh McDaniels, Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, those names have been tossed around. But looking at the rest of the NFL, what have you guys seen that's really stood out to you? I know for me, the Houston Texans are red hot right now. Everyone's in love with the Saints, the Rams, the Chiefs, all those teams, but the Texans are hot, the Chargers are hot. Don't count those teams out yet. We're only in the beginning of December. So what sort of storylines or what has really stood out to you in the rest of the NFL so far?
Dallas's defense for me has been huge. And just because of their defense being so good, they're now 7-5, leading the NFC East. And I think they're going to win the NFC East. They're just playing. They're starting to play really good football. The trade for Amari Cooper, I think, has been really significant.
I agree. Yeah.
Their offense has looked much better since getting Amari Cooper, and they needed a number one true target.
Yep.
I think another surprising team in the NFC wildcard is Seattle Seahawks. They were supposed to be an off year this year. This was supposed to be their building year, and then they'd be back in the NFC West next year. Seattle has gone back to their basic roots of zone rushing attack. And you can see that with Chris Carson. They're averaging over 100 yards per game running, which then takes a lot of off Russell Wilson and what he has to do as a quarterback. They have great young receivers in David Moore and Tyler Lockett. And even though their defense isn't the Legion of Boom that we've seen in the past, their defense is keeping them in games, and their offense is doing just enough to win them games. So kind of like how Dallas is, I think Seattle can relate to Dallas because huge rushing offenses, above average quarterback play, and they're doing just enough to get by. So, I mean, I'd watch out for those two teams in the NFC. I think they could cause trouble to teams just like how Dallas did against the Saints, controlling the clock by running the ball, having great defense. Like, they could surprise LA and New Orleans, for sure.
And in the AFC, I like the Steelers. The Steelers are interesting
Even
to me.
after they lost to LA?
I thought that was kind of a fluke game. These last two games for the Steelers have kind of been iffy, bad coaching decisions. I think the talent is there, though, that they can make big plays. I mean, Antonio Brown is a generational talent that can make a play at any time, obviously with Big Ben, too. And Juju Smith-Schuster. But, yeah, I'm interested to see how they play out with James Conner being hurt and just to see how the Steelers finish the season.
Yeah. So if we're looking ahead now to the playoff picture at the end of the regular season, I was kind of interested with what you guys had to say about both the Cowboys and the Seahawks, two teams that you could say are getting back to their roots, so to say, because after the trade with Amari Cooper, that offense has been able to open up and they're able to hand the ball off to Zeke Elliott, who is a top 5 running back in the NFL.
Great for my fantasy team, too.
Exactly. And when Dak Prescott doesn't have a target to throw to, it's a little tough for him to hand the ball off to Elliott when the teams are stacking the box. So now they're spreading the field. They're looking like the Dallas of old, so to say, from a few years ago. that defense has been quietly really good the past couple of seasons. And also, as you said, Seattle, almost the same thing. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2013 Super Bowl run. I don't think the talent is as good, but just the scheme, the philosophy, I think, is there. So are there any other teams in the NFL that you guys are thinking could make some noise in the playoffs?
I mean, you got to look at the Chargers. I mean, hey, you go to Heinz Field and you beat Pittsburgh at home on Sunday Night Football. I mean, any team that goes into Pittsburgh and wins that's awesome for them. But to do so on Sunday Night Football, I mean, that's insane.
Cold weather, too. They're coming from LA.
Exactly. And Phillip Rivers, I mean, hey, he looked great. They got a great supporting cast. When Melvin Gordon comes back, they're going to be even better.
Yep.
Absolutely. So that'll do it now for some NFL talk. We've got some more to talk about coming up, but first, let's take a look at those perfect pets.
So cute.
Hi, I'm Pumpkin. I'm a little shy at first, but once I get to know you, I'm one lovable pup.
Nom 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 nom. Hi, I'm Bugsy. I love sitting up on high perches and watching the birds outside.
Well, hello there. I'm Zen. I exist in perfect harmony with the universe. I play and I relax. Adopt me today to bring Zen into your life.
To find out more about adoption, contact La Crescent Animal Rescue at 507-895-2066.
Welcome back in to Sports Talk Live. So transitioning now from professional football now to the college ranks. The college football playoff standings just came out this past weekend, and I know a lot of people are upset. Some people are fine with the standings. Me, I don't have an issue with it.
No, I'm fine with it.
Do you guys at all? Anyone have any debates to say?
I don't really have an issue with it. How can you keep Oklahoma out of the playoffs when they won their conference championship game against another ranked team?
Good team.
And how can you put Ohio State in when they lost at Purdue this season by 29 points and Purdue barely was 500? I mean, what argument can you make for Ohio State other than that they beat Michigan?
Yeah, it was just disappointing to see Ohio State. As a Big Ten fan, you want to see, I'm a Badgers fan, but I want to see the Big Ten do well. It makes the Badgers look better. So it's disappointing to see Ohio State left out, but I thought it was right that Oklahoma got it. Kyler Murray's been playing out of his mind this year. I mean, Alabama's the same Alabama. I don't know how people could argue that Georgia should have gotten in. I thought that was kind of crap.
Well, the one argument that I think people are making for Georgia, and one that I could maybe get behind if I thought about it a little bit more, was the college football playoffs. You only have 4 teams, so you really want these 4 teams to be the programs that you truly believe are the 4 best teams in the entire country. And seeing the way Georgia played throughout the whole season and the way they played in the SEC championship especially, they really should have won that game against Alabama. And I think if they would have won, they would have been in.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think a lot of people are saying, they lost, but they still deserve the shot to kind of redeem themselves. That's fair, but I also have a tough time leaving out Notre Dame, who I understand they didn't play in a conference championship game.
I don't like how they don't have the conference.
It's all about the money.
I think that now, though, they should be forced into a conference. They should have to decide, because I think it's hard. It throws a curveball on the whole system. That they can just decide their whole schedule.
That's fair. I'll give you that. But at the same time, them not being in a conference, I don't think should punish them for having an undefeated season. 12-0 is hard to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Wisconsin did it last year, and that was the first time in program history that they've ever accomplished it. Yeah. Wisconsin's been a pretty successful program, especially for the last 20-25 seasons.
They could get a quarterback.
Yeah, if they could get a quarterback, exactly. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I think Notre Dame, I don't have any issue with them making it in whatsoever, and I agree. I think Oklahoma winning on Saturday, beating Texas, was sort of the springing point to get them in, and I'm excited for it. I think, these are the 4 best teams in the country, and I think we should have some really good football games to come up with. Clemson, I know they played Pitt. Some people have said they're not as good as years past. Do you buy that at all? Do you think Clemson is as good, or is this a down year?
What do you think, Mark?
I think they're going to make the national championship, so I still think they're a very good team. I do think Alabama is going to win the national championship. That's kind of my prediction.
Yep.
I think it'll be a really close game. I think it'll be like a 24-20 type football game. But I would say I think Clemson's still a very good team.
Yeah, it
and
just
has a very good chance of winning the national championship.
I agree. It just sucks because I feel like Alabama is like the Warriors of college football.
Yeah.
You know, you just know it's going to happen. It's like the Patriots, too. They're always going to end up being there somehow. But it'd be cool to see Clemson do something, or any of the 3 teams beat Bama. As long as Bama doesn't win, I'll be happy.
Alabama has flaws. You saw it in the SEC championship game. Georgia was the better team for 3 quarters. Clemson has a top 10 defense and a top 5 offense. How can that not put a scare into Alabama? I mean, Trevor Lawrence, arguably, I mean, he's a freshman. You could say he's a top 5 quarterback in college football right now. If he were to go into the draft right now, he could probably be a top 10 draft pick because of the stock that he has as a NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Clemson could very easily beat Alabama, and I think they could beat Alabama by 10-plus points.
Bama doesn't have too shabby of a quarterback as well. I mean, I know he's hurt, but Tua, Heisman candidate, potentially. So who do you guys think is going to win the Heisman?
Well, I was really, throughout most of the season, I said it's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. I thought he was going to run away with it, to be honest.
Nice enunciation of the last name, too.
I practiced it.
Thank goodness you said it, because I was going to struggle.
He's wearing a Giannis jersey. So.
Yeah, I got practice with Giannis. His last name's pretty tough. But throughout most of the season, I thought for sure Tua was going to win it. He's been playing lights out. But then I watched him on Saturday. He struggled.
Yeah,
all of his flaws that he has, they came back in a really bad way on Saturday. And it looked like for a while his quarterback play was going to cost him the game. And honestly, I'm going to say it, I think it's going to cost him the Heisman.
How much do you think the ankle injury, though?
Well,
I think it's going to be Kyler Murray that
you know who
Heisman.
didn't struggle on Saturday, like you just said? Kyler Murray. He shined. He was amazing in that game against Texas. So I think that he's going to run away with it. I know Dwayne Haskins was kind of...
It's down between Murray and Tua. Like, you can't argue for Haskins. I mean, great season, Haskins. You did great in the Big Ten. You threw for over 40 touchdown passes, the most in Big Ten history. But
not in the playoffs.
It's a two-man race. You're not in the playoffs.
I actually was going to say, I actually think, for me, actually, it was between Kyler Murray and Haskins. I actually think Haskins played a really good game against,
he did,
against Northwestern, who has a good defense, too.
Michigan as well.
And Michigan as well. Yeah. So I actually think with how well he played the last 2 weeks, I think he put himself in actually very much in contention to win the Heisman.
One thing going off of that, Kyler Murray had arguably the same stats as Dwayne Haskins, throwing, passing yards, and touchdowns.
There you go.
He also had 892 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns for over 50 touchdowns combined on the season as a quarterback. And his passer rating is 206, which beats Baker Mayfield's record from last season at 198, and is 4 points better than Tua's at 202 this season. So some may make the argument that SEC football is better than Big 12. Tua played against better competition.
That is
true. Did he really play against that much better competition? I mean,
Big 12
I can see that argument.
Very suspect.
Right, but Kyler has had to put way more on his back than what Tua has, because his defense at Oklahoma is terrible. Absolutely horrendous.
I know. I was kind of disappointed I didn't get to see Jonathan Taylor make more of a run at the Heisman. I really thought that
7-5.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the season though that he was going to be at least a Heisman finalist. I know he had a really good start to the season with 700 rushing yard games, something like that.
Yeah.
Great record, but
Jonathan Taylor put up a great year. He's in some finalists for awards.
Oh, he'll be the Doak Walker.
Doak Walker Award winner.
Cool.
I'm sure he will be. I'm on the side that Kyler Murray will be the Heisman Trophy winner. But before we move on, I just want to get your quick playoff predictions. Mark, I know you said you got Alabama.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a rematch of the national championship from a couple of years ago. I think we're going to see Clemson and Auburn battle it out for the title.
Bama.
Sorry, I mean, Bama and Clemson are going to battle it out for the title, and I'm leaning towards Bama just because they do it over and over and over again.
Disappointing.
But I think it will be a good game. I'm leaning towards Bama as the time stands right now, but who do you guys got winning the next?
I'm going to go on a limb. Go Sooners. Boomer Sooner.
Wow.
You know why? Heisman Trophy winner, Kyler Murray. I get it. Oklahoma's defense is 124th out of 130, but their defense has made stops when they need to. The game's going to be a high-scoring affair. Alabama scores points. Oklahoma scores points. I think Oklahoma might be able to make one stop and take advantage of it with Murray at quarterback. And I think they're going to beat Bama, and then they're going to beat Clemson in the national championship game. So, boom, there's my hot take.
Yeah, it's a hot take. I got Bama. I mean, there's 3 things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and Bama winning the national championship. So.
Amen to that. Well, the one thing about the playoffs is it's not going to disappoint. I think the college football playoffs are going to be some of the better ones we've seen. I'm really excited to watch these. But one team that did disappoint this season, the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yes.
Hey, they made a bowl game, 7-5. They're headed to the Pinstripe Bowl to take on the University of Miami, the Hurricanes. But man, what a disappointment.
We always play them. I feel like we always play them.
Well, we played them last year in the Orange Bowl, so we're going to get a rematch of that. But what are you guys' quick thoughts maybe on the season, on the upcoming Pinstripe Bowl? Do you have any predictions you're going to toss out there?
I was disappointed because last year I actually got to go to the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis and got to go to, what's the stadium called?
Lucas Oil.
Lucas Oil, yeah. I got to go to Lucas Oil, and that was an experience. And I was like, all right, this could be a tradition. We could be doing this next year again. And no, it's not going to happen this year. It's really disappointing. I think we need a quarterback. We always seem to have an amazing line, an amazing running back, and a pretty sturdy defense. But we just have to figure it out at quarterback. But I think we have Graham Mertz coming in.
Yeah, Graham Mertz is going to be coming in from Kansas. I'm really excited to watch him. 4-star recruit, if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head. He's supposedly going to be the quote-unquote difference maker for the Wisconsin football program.
We rarely get 4-star recruits at Wisconsin.
Rarely, especially at the quarterback position. That's a huge draw for the Badgers.
Should probably go to Kentucky.
Stop. Don't do Tyler Hero again.
The thing with Wisconsin that I think disappointed me so much is going into the season, you're talking Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist, the best O-line in all of college football, maybe ever, talking about all these NFL prospects.
Absolutely.
And
Sports Illustrated cover, too.
Yeah, Sports Illustrated cover. They got how many times do you see an entire offensive line on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Never. Probably since the last time they had like Gabe Karimi and all those guys back in like 07, 08.
And even then, I don't remember
Joe Thomas,
But to their credit, most teams know that Alex Hornibrook is not going to throw all over their defense.
He's like Stave reincarnated.
He might be worse.
I might
than
even
Joel
take
Stave.
Stave.
Exactly. But teams just stack the box. They know you're going to hand off to Jonathan Taylor. That's tough for any team to do. And so for me, that's a bit of a disappointment. I'm hoping to win the Pinstripe Bowl.
Hey, one key point we can look at. One positive out of this. 17th straight season making a bowl game. Best in the Big Ten. I mean, hey, we're not in the bowl game we want to be in, but if we got to take a positive out of it, we're in another bowl game. Hey, Florida State didn't make a bowl game this year. We did.
Yeah, there's always something to be looking forward to, of course, but we're now going to take a look at some WMCM promos.
The University of Wisconsin-La Crosse brings you a weekly student newscast. Important news. Movie critiques. Weather forecasts. Sports highlights. And local interviews. UWL's own WMCM, run by the students, for the students. Every Thursday at 4:30 on Campus Channel 200 and Charter Channel 989.
Are you a movie fanatic? Tune in on WMCM TV's Screening Room, Tuesdays at 2:45 or 4:30. You can watch on Channel 200 and Charter 989. See you on Tuesdays for Screening Room.
Welcome on in to Sports Talk Live. We just went in on Wisconsin football and how much of a disappointment they have been this season and this year. But now we're going to transition into a Wisconsin team that really has yet to disappoint this season. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's could happen.
Most likely.
Badgers basketball, they're off to a really good start. 7-1, I believe, to start the season. And they've had some pretty decent wins as well, including Iowa on the road last Friday. I like what I see from this team. They're young, or they were young last year, but they kind of matured, I think, a bit this season. And I think it's starting to pay ends for Coach Greg Gard and the whole team. So, Mark, what are your thoughts on the team so far?
Oh, I think they've been excellent so far this year. They're much better than what they were last year. I mean, last year was almost kind of a disaster of a year, to be honest. And players that I've really been impressed with have been Ethan Happ and Demetric Trice.
Yes.
They've both been outstanding.
Stars.
Huge part of why they're doing so well. I actually have some stats for both Happ and Trice. Happ has scored 17.4 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, and 5.3 assists per game. And for Trice, he has 17.4 points per game, 3.8 rebounds a game, and 2.6 assists per game. So they've both had great stats. They've done a really good job so far for the Badgers this year. And there's nothing to feel bad about the one loss that they had, which was against Virginia on a neutral court.
Yeah, and the number 4 team in the country as well.
Right.
They're a very good program.
Yeah,
they're neck and neck with them, too.
Yeah, I think the most impressive stat you missed, though, is Brad Davison taking 5 charges in one game. That was the talk of the internet for one night.
Yes, it was.
Exemplifies Wisconsin basketball. Fundamentals.
Absolutely.
Love it.
If you look at Brad Davison, his stats last year compared to this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball, not great. It looks like they're down a little bit, but he's helped so much around, especially on defense.
Yep.
He does so much off the ball for that team that he's just such a spark for that team coming off the bench if he needs to, if he goes and takes the rest. I love watching that guy play.
Yeah, I'd like to see him score a little bit more.
Right. Well, but Brad Davison's playing a 2-guard spot now. Dimitri Trice is our number 1 point guard now. That's why you're not seeing the point production from Davison, but he's getting that production on other ends of the court that he didn't as much last season. Like, Dimitri Trice is shooting 60% from 3 this season. That's incredible. He's made huge shots against Iowa and against NC State when they're up 2 points. He makes a dagger 3 and a dagger 2-point shot to finally put the Badgers ahead for good. And I think another thing we got to look at with the Badgers is the development of Nathan Reavers and Kobe King. I mean, Nate Reavers, what did he do last year? Just shot 3s, an occasional jump shot. Now he has post moves in the paint, and Kobe King has made a couple of clutch shots as well from 15 feet and out.
Cross product.
Yeah.
Go lacrosse central.
Yeah, I love it. The one thing, looking ahead now in the NFL, on a more serious note, though, the other really big news regarding Kareem Hunt. Obviously, we talked about Mike McCarthy. That's been kind of dominating the headlines, but Kareem Hunt has also been in the headlines for all of the wrong reasons, of course. And
great.
It's tough to see such a young star in the NFL, perhaps maybe Hall of Fame talent, dare I say it, but to kind of throw it all away in one night like that. And of course, reports coming out now that this isn't just a one-time thing, and it looks like he might pay the price for it, whether it be his career or just this season. Who knows? But Aaron, obviously you got something to say. What are your thoughts on it?
It sucks to learn that he was untruthful about it with the Chiefs organization, and it's also perplexing that the NFL had no contact with him about the situation.
Right.
That they just went to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs said, "Oh no, it's fine." And I just think people need to be held accountable. Obviously, I think the actions are indefensible. So.
But once you look more into it, like we just had Ezekiel Elliott get a 6-game suspension because of a domestic abuse case against him. So anytime you hear the words domestic abuse, once you be all in on it, like, hey, what's going on here? How did this happen? Why did it happen? Where's the video? I mean, I don't think this is going to be the whole Ray Rice ordeal when he actually hasn't played again in the NFL. I do think Kareem Hunt will get a second chance somewhere, sometime. But, yeah, he's going to have a lot to do to get back in the right eyes of NFL organizations and owners because, yeah, he done messed up, as some would say.
I agree and especially recently with Reuben Foster, he also got caught up in his whole domestic violence scandals as well, 3 times in one calendar year, of course. But the Redskins, they had no qualms about signing him, so I wouldn't be surprised if a team takes a chance on Kareem Hunt. And I mean, look,
he actually went unclaimed through the waivers.
That's true. That is true. But who knows
in the future?
What comes, with the offseason and free agency, and maybe some teams are looking at the Michael Vick situation from about 10 years ago, a guy that actually did his time, came back to the NFL.
Pac-Man Jones too.
Pac-Man Jones as well. Yeah, there's numerous guys who actually have turned it around, but I think it'll be interesting to keep an eye on for come the NFL offseason. Mark, I know you got a big rant. You're not very happy with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm excited to hear this. What do you got to say to Mike Tomlin and the organization?
All right, Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers. How in the world can you be offsides 3 consecutive times at the end of a game? I mean, how can that happen? I mean, you don't just jump offsides once, and then that makes it a 5-yard closer field goal. Michael Badgley, I believe is his name, the kicker for the Chargers. It would have been a 41-yard field goal from where he was, and it became a 26-yard field goal through the penalties. So just a chip shot field goal, and that's just unacceptable. I mean, now they're 7-4-1 because of it, and I think they would have won that. There's a good chance they win that game if they don't jump off sides 3 times.
Yeah,
especially because he missed the first 2 field goals as well. Yeah.
Right.
2 late-game errors.
Exactly.
Jeremiah, I know you got.
I got a huge rant.
Badger football, they want to hear it.
Badger football. Hey, Congrats, top 10 AP team preseason. Now you're going to the Pinstripe Bowl. Congratulations, Alex Hornibrook. You made Wisconsin fans hate you even more.
It's hot.
Hey, short, simple, it's harsh, but it is true. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Sports Talk Live. For Mark, Aaron, and Jeremiah, I'm Nate. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week as we cover more sports topics.
Yep, I'm excited.
On our next It's Funny show here on WMCM.
Go Brewers. And Packers.